Good day, everyone, and welcome to the 11th AATF Technology Thursday webinar. Today's presentation will be hosted by Shorrock. Our webinar this morning is covering the WAGO Pro 2 power supplies. This webinar will focus on WAGO's Pro 2 power supply range and how WAGO has set a new benchmark in industries with communication and parameterization possibilities. With quantitative and qualitative requirements becoming stricter by the day, control cabinets are undergoing increasing transformations. Greater networking, rising energy costs, and increasing customization require economic flexibility, speed, and a minimal footprint for control cabinets. WAGO's Pro 2 power supply range is a true power efficiency champion with up to 96.1% efficiency, making this the new heart of your control cabinets. These devices have also set new standards for economical operation that saves your hard cash, especially when used in applications that run around the clock 365 days a year. I'd now like to welcome Conrad du Plessis, who will be presenting today on behalf of Shorrock. Conrad has over 20 years experience in industrial automation, and he has become an expert in his field. Today, Conrad is the automation manager at Shorrock Automation, and his area of focus is in WAGO's automation and interface products. Please feel free to use the question and answer facility at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. I'll now hand over to you, Conrad, to take us through the presentation.
Thank you, Shorrock. I'll just share my screen. Opportunity. I just want to get us a nice laser pointer. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity, Shorrock. Okay, so today's topic, I'd like to start with a small little story first. Early in the week, after we send out the invites for everyone to attend this webinar, I got a call from one of my customers, Philip, and Philip said to me, "Conrad, are you guys honestly presenting on power supplies?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "But with the current product range that you have on offer and the huge technology behind it, why power supplies?" And I said, "Well, you should watch the presentation to see that, because very little do people realize that." And we use that saying, your 24-volt DC power supply is the heart of your panel. And all your controls are connected to it. You could be connecting an extremely expensive control system to a 300 Rand power supply that you buy from any electrical wholesaler. And these are things that we need to consider. Okay, so let's start. The first thing I'd like to highlight is at the bottom of my screen here, at the left side, you can see our support at shorrock.co.za email address, and also my personal email address, conrad@shorrock.co.za. I'd like to invite anyone, if you have any technical questions pertaining to any of the WAGO products, please feel free to contact us and we will gladly assist. Okay, so with regards to WAGO, WAGO was established in 1951, and a lot of people know the WAGO product range for the spring connection and the connection technology for terminals. So I put this slide in just to show some of the products or some of the first terminals invented. And this was the original patent, a picture of the original patent in 1951. And then we can see how technology developed throughout the years. And in 2019, we released our new terminal block, where you can literally mount this to your panel, and field I/O or instruments can be connected at this point. Another thing that I would like to highlight, with there not being a show this year, is some of the products that we've released, or upgrades or changes that we usually share at the shows with regards to new add-ons for WAGO's product range. So in terms of lighting management, full web visualization application running on HTML5 on your WAGO PLC. And this enables us to do full lighting management in all lighting management applications, energy data management, full energy data management, be it water, electricity, power, gas, whatever you want to measure, we can do that with an energy data management solution. Then we also had some nice developments with BACnet IP and OPC UA. And these are, or OPC UA specifically, is standard integrated onto our controllers, which basically means that you can collect data via OPC UA from all our devices. And it's really seamless, simple integration. Then also power plant control. We made some major software developments with regards to power plant control. And then the WAGO Cloud, the easy operation to connect all your power or all your instruments and information back to the cloud and see it on your local dashboard. Then also added is our advanced IO system. The advanced IO system is made for TSN applications, and typical cycle times on this from the controller down to the IO down the line is 31.25 microseconds. So really impressive cycle times just on the IO of this device. Then our PFC200 controller. So PFC200 is our top of the range controller. Now PFC200 controller now comes with standard integrated 4G. So just above my antenna, and you insert your SIM card, and immediately your data can be published to the cloud without any additional internet connections and so forth. Also added this year is our PFC200 with 4 LAN ports, and it's on the G2 series. So G2 is our second generation of faster processing speeds. We talk about Cortex A8 processors with 1 gigahertz processing speed, excellent cycle times, easy interface, 512 meg onboard RAM on the device. And then also with this, the 4 LAN ports. So the 4 LAN ports gives us the possibility to set this device up to have 1 EtherCAT port, 1 Modbus TCP port, 1 port connected to your internet, and 1 port separate IPs connected through to your other protocol that you prefer to communicate, be it SSH or whatever other Ethernet-based protocol. In addition to that, we've also got a full range of industrial managed switches, some nice upgrades that happen on that as well, and additional devices added to the product range. And we do managed and unmanaged switches. So if you need more information, please contact us at support@Shorrock. IO, IP67 IO modules that's been added for IOLink applications. These devices come standard for Profinet, and they all have OPC UA integrated onto them. Really a nice feature. And then lastly, that is also quite nice that I'd like to share is our visual control panels. Our visual control panels is available in a 7-inch series, 10.1-inch series, a 15.6-inch series, and a 21-inch series. And these could be either web visual panels, basically meaning that if you've got an HTML5 platform and you would like to see the HMI displayed via the HTML page displayed via the web visual panel, that's an option. Or alternatively, another option would be with a controller fitted on the back. So a full control web panel with PLC capability. Okay, so let's focus on the Pro 2 power supply. As I mentioned earlier on, it's the heart of your control cabinet, and there's a lot of nice functions and features. Power supplies are the heart of your control cabinet's DC power supply. Therefore, they must meet particularly strict requirements with regard if you do panel refits, you will realize how expensive real estate in a panel is, and how important space in a panel is. And I'd like to highlight some of these for you. So in green, you will see at this point here, you will see the physical size of the WAGO power supply. This is our 5 amp power supply at only 35 millimeters wide. And we've done a product evaluation with a few competitors out in the market, and we found that the average size on the competitor product range for a 5 amp power supply is 55 millimeters. That means our power supply is 20 millimeters less in width. This power supply has an efficiency of 93.8%. The average on our competitors on this is 89%. On our 10 amp series, we have a width of 50 millimeters with a 95.3% efficiency. Average on the competitors again is 92.5%. And the list goes on with our 40 amp at the end, where the average competitor width is 180 millimeters. We come in at a width of 120 millimeters with an efficiency of 96%. Now, one of the things you'll hear me talk about today is quite a lot about efficiency. And I'm going to show you the effect of efficiency and how important it is to choose your power supply according to the efficiency of your efficiency requirement. Also, we offer a range of three-phase power supplies. And there's some nice features on these three-phase power supplies, such as the voltage input can be between 340 volts AC and 550 volts AC. That means you can use it on your 380 applications or your standard 380 supply voltage applications. But at the same time, it's also for the customers who use 5 to 5. The same power supply will work there. Now, in the industry, we often find it that the power supplies cannot handle higher 5 to 5 applications. So the customer has to install a small little control voltage transformer in the bottom of the panel. And with this power supply and the size being so small, it actually saves a lot of panel space. Let's have a look at efficiency. So the WAGO power supply offers up to 96.1% efficiency on the 40 amp power supply. Efficiency is the key to energy cost saving with reduced power losses and lower demand for control cabinet cooling. WAGO's Pro 2 power supply can be permanently connected to your PLC via a communication module or a digital I/O module. The digital I/O module is positioned where I'm pointing the laser pointer now. With this digital I/O module, we have the possibility to enable the user to switch off the power supply or the power supply output via the digital signal or via the communication module to enable standby mode for energy saving purposes. This is very similar to some of the vehicle manufacturers that's out in the market today that switch the engine off while we wait at the traffic light. Let's have a look at cost saving. So you'll see on here, I put a calculation sheet for your previous power supply versus your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply. And here you will see the efficiency as percentage. So we have evaluated a lot of applications and compared some devices. And if we have a look at a cost comparison for two 40 amp power supplies, both 40 amp power supplies, running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year over a 2-year period. This is saying that your power supply will only be used for 2 years. So if you're going to use it for 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, depending on the lifespan of your power supply, this is the cost saving that you could be looking at. So at 89% efficiency with a price per kilowatt calculated at R2.20, which is a very good average to use, and also with the WAGO Pro 2 power supply, your cost saving over a 2-year period would be R3,071.66 just in electricity cost. This is not a power supply cost, this is your electricity bill cost that you will be saving. In addition to that, because of the efficiency, you will also be saving over a 2-year period 809.801 kilograms of CO2 emissions. Okay, let's move. The WAGO Pro 2 power supply is ready for Industry 4.0 thanks to the modular field bus communication module. And that is that module over here. So you can use the power supply without the communication module. Easy and simple to set up, and there's more than one option to set this up. But in addition, we also have a communication module. The snap-on communication, we say snap-on because it basically clips into this point over here, and at these 2 points here. Module for IOLink, Modbus RTU, and coming soon Modbus TCP enable constant communication and intelligent monitoring of all the data values pertaining to your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply. You have the possibility to set up your device according to your requirements, such as set output voltage, set the current, warning and trip limit, and much, much more. You also have the possibility to monitor actual output voltage, output current, and if required, you could even monitor the device temperature state. This allows for greater system uptime warnings could easily be flagged and investigated in depth during planned predictive plant maintenance times. In terms of the IOLink, I'd like to show you how we would typically connect the IOLink. And here you can see the IOLink device that clips onto your power supply. We have the IODD file available for your IOLink device. And you can basically then connect this to your IOLink module. And WAGO, like I mentioned earlier on, we have a IOLink module that clips directly onto our controller, or alternatively onto your IOLink module or your IP67 IOLink module, and connect it then to your power supply, pulling all that data from your power supply. In addition, we also have the Modbus RTU unit available, and here we can see it connected to a serial card to the WAGO PLC, or we can use that serial card if the serial different devices. What's nice about the WAGO Modbus RTU module is that it has two ports at the bottom. Now, Modbus RTU is quite easy to daisy chain, and we use a standard RJ45 plug at the bottom. And standard Ethernet cable in between the different devices, and then pull this data back to your device. In terms of configuration of the device, I showed the option with the communication module, but we have more than one option with regards to connecting the device. Now, WAGO has a saying, they say it has to be simple, it has to be open, and it has to be easy. Nothing has to be a challenge. So, with the WAGO new interface configuration software, we offer both local and remote configuration and parameterization, allowing the power supplies to be tailored to your specific requirements. The configuration function can be used to configure the power supply to enable and disable functions, such as we can set the output voltage. So whether you adjust it via the little push buttons on the front of the device, or alternatively, we can set up and say, this is exactly the voltage we want on this application. In addition, we can also enable the standby mode via process data. Also, this device has got an integrated electronic circuit breaker, which basically means we can set a trip current and a trip delay time for this device. This is particularly handy in applications where you have purchased a 40 amp power supply, for example, and then your current requirement is only 35 amps. We can then limit the current on this device for 35 amps and put a trip delay on that as well. In addition, electronic circuit breakers are really important for applications where you use 24 volt DC. A common mistake we find out in the industry as well is customers using normal DIN rail circuit breakers that are not rated for DC applications. Simple breakers, that's a 2 amp circuit breaker with a 250 volts AC rating, basically means that it needs a short circuit of about 8 seconds before that circuit breaker will trip. In addition, WAGO also offers power boost and top boost functionality on our power supplies. Let me explain what power boost and top boost is. Power boost allows for up to 150% of the output power for 5 seconds for applications such as switching a contactor or 24 volt DC motors. This is typically when we need to compensate for the inrush current. In addition, we also offer top boost. Top boost allows for 600% output power for 15 milliseconds for applications such as reliable tripping of miniature circuit breakers. Rapid switching capacitive loads and high startup currents are no longer a problem. Easy load diagnostics is possible via the local LED indication. And I'd like to highlight that we've used this before and it really works well. When we get to a customer and he's got a problem in his power supply, you'll see on the front of this power supply there, we have a signal that says DC OK, greater than 25%, greater than 50%, greater than 75%, and greater than 100%. This is an indication of your actual load that the power supply is currently running at. We often buy a 20 amp power supply or a 10 amp power supply, not realizing that it's running at 90% of the load or 100% of the load, or more often it actually happens that it's running a bit over. Now, the reason why I would also like to highlight is we need to understand that even though I mentioned that we have a 96.1% efficiency on our WAGO Pro 2 40 amp power supply, that if you run that power supply at 75% of its full load, you will actually be able to. Efficiency is also linked to how far you are into your full load. The values I've been giving at 96.1% is linked to running at full 100% of your load. The next slide that I'd like to discuss is our robust design. With a wide temperature range possibilities of your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply, you realize how many application possibilities open up for new business. The Pro 2 power supply easily withstands shock, vibration, and harsh industrial conditions, making it the perfect solution for your application. Your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply can be started and operated from -40 degrees Celsius up to 70 degrees Celsius. I'd like to highlight the -40 side of it for some of my customers that has been doing projects up in the Scandinavian countries. This is really important because often they have to actually heat up the panel to compensate for this. The WAGO Pro 2 power supply can actually be started and operated from -40 and will easily run up to temperatures of 70 degrees Celsius. This allows for significant cost saving by reducing the need for control cabinet air conditioning, as I mentioned. In addition, the highly robust design provides reliable operation in high vibration and shock-prone applications. The WAGO Pro 2 power supply series can be operated at altitudes of up to 5,000 meters with a relative humidity of up to 96%. Okay. In terms of reliability, I'd like to carry on. Your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply also offers a higher output current at 70 degrees Celsius. So downsizing the power supply saves money and space in high temperature applications. Because they fulfill the requirements up to 4 kilovolts and above. The mean time between failure value and the component service life promise an extensive service life for your new WAGO Pro 2 power supply. D-rating is first required for temperatures above 60 degrees Celsius, nothing before that, allowing for high output power capabilities even in high temperature applications. Let's summarize. So, a true power champion with class-leading efficiency of up to 96.1% at full load on the 40 amp power supply. The AC input voltage can be between 90 and 264 volts AC, which is quite diverse, and also 340 to 550 volt AC on three-phase applications. We offer nominal output currents from 5 amps to 40 amps, top boost that can supply up to 600% or more of the power for 15 milliseconds, and power boost 150% of the output power for 5 seconds. It also offers a configurable overload behavior for electronic circuit breaker functionality. The rated frequency is between 47 and 63 Hertz, and the ambient temperature from -40, ambient operating temperature, I need to highlight that, not storage temperature, ambient operating temperature between -40 and +70 degrees Celsius. You can save energy and money with peak efficiency of up to 96.1%, and constant communication via standardized protocols keep you informed at all times. Lastly, I'd like to end with a slide that puts a different spin on things. We often, when we discuss this topic with customers, the question always comes, but Conrad, what about price? What can we do with regards to price? So I'd like to show a different spin on this. We also have an eco cost-effective alternative. If you are looking at a 2.5 amp power supply, we can offer you a 2.5 amp power supply at 395 Rand. And that would be with an 88% efficiency, keeping in mind that the efficiency saves you money over the long term. In addition to that, a 5 amp power supply at 550 Rand, also with the 88% efficiency. Efficiency. I think in the end, the call is up to you. You have to decide what will work best for you. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and let's have a look at the questions.
Great, thanks so much, Conrad. That was very, very interesting. Lots for us to learn from your presentation, so thank you. Now, just moving on to those questions, we do have a couple. The first one is, on what communication protocols can I talk to the WAGO Pro 2 PSUs?
Okay, the power supply units. Okay, so we, like I mentioned, we can offer it with Modbus RTU and IOLink. So those are the two communication protocols that's currently available, but we're hoping later in the year to also have Modbus TCP available, hopefully before the end of the year.
Great, thanks. Can I series and parallel these PSUs?
Yes, you can. So for applications where you require a 48 volt DC application, you can series these two power supplies. The key to seriesing two power supplies is it's really important to then switch both on at the same time. But it is possible for applications where you require this. For parallel applications, and it's important to understand why would people parallel applications. And this is for applications where a customer has a DC motor application, for example, and he needs more than 40 amps for this DC motor. Then I have the possibility to parallel my two 40 amp power supplies, which is 960 watts. And I then have the possibility to parallel these two devices and supply 80 amps if required.
Great.
The operational temperature, and that is really important, start up from -40 up to +70 degrees Celsius.
Great. DC output values, only 24V versions?
So specifically on the Pro 2 series. So I've got to mention that in the WAGO series, I showed the Eco series or the economical series, the slide before with the pricing with regards to that. But we have various ranges depending on your application. And we can offer DC power supplies for 12 volt applications, 24 volt applications. You can purchase a 48 volt power supply from us if required. So then more and more voltage is available. But in terms of the Pro 2, they are currently only available for 24 volt applications, and they can be set up from 22 volts up to 28 volts, depending on your application.
What is the difference between a WAGO top boost and power boost?
Okay, I'll discuss that again. So top boost, in a lot of applications, our customers use a small little miniature circuit breaker in a panel. Let me just get it right. What the top boost basically does is it actually allows for output current to peak at up to 600% of the full load of the power supply for a short term of 15 milliseconds. And this will actually initiate the bimetal strip on the circuit breaker to trip. Top boost, on the other hand, is, like I said, for DC motor applications, where we have a small inrush current that we need to maintain. So the motor starts up and it usually runs at, let's say it's one motor on a 40 amp device. The device would start up and run at 38 amps, which is perfect for the power supply. It can handle that. But there's a small inrush current when it needs to get into movement. And that inrush current could be 60 or 70 amps. And for that, we allow up to 150% of the full load current of the power supply to be initiated for 5 seconds. And then only after that, it will shut it down.
Great. Does the Pro 2 PSU have ECB functionality?
Yeah, so electronic circuit breakers can be divided into two areas. The first one there is that we have WAGO offers multi-channel electronic circuit breakers, which is separately available from the Pro 2 power supply. The Pro 2 power supply has full electronic circuit breaker functionality, but on the single 24-volt output. So there's no channel division on this. It will switch off the power supply if it reaches that electronic circuit breaker value, and it will trip at that value. We can also then set the delay time for that trip. Set it up to trip at 32 amps and say that if I reach 32 amps for a period longer than 10 seconds, then I would like to trip. And this would then protect my circuit, because my circuit downline, having a 40 amp power supply, might require less current, and I need to protect it at less current. But a challenge in the industry is it's not very common to find a 20 amp, a 25 amp, a 30 amp, a 35 amp, and a 40 amp power supply in your series. So for WAGO on the Pro 2, we go from a 20 amp to a 40 amp power supply. But I can easily set up the electronic circuit breaker functionality to operate at 30 amps and have a protection at 30 amps.
Great. So we're on to the last question, Conrad. What benefits can you get from the WAGO Pro 2 power supply?
I'd say the biggest benefit from the Pro 2 power supply is the efficiency. For me, the cost saving, if you think about it, and we did a training webinar with our colleagues at the office some time ago, showing the effect of efficiency, because WAGO is also quite involved in power and utility management. We actually spent the time and showed our colleagues at the office, in fact, most of the employees at the office, the effect of efficiency. People don't realize it, but even your refrigerator runs X amount of time. And while you purchase your refrigerator, you look at the pricing of the two refrigerators, not looking at the efficiency class of your refrigerator. The one is 500 Rand more cost effective, and you buy the one that's 500 Rand more cost effective. But over a year or a 2-year period, your refrigerator would have paid the difference automatically. But no one buys a refrigerator to only keep for 2 years. We buy them with a plan for 5 and 10 years. With power supplies, it's pretty much the same. We don't buy a panel for 5 and 10 years. And if we then look at what the effect of efficiency is and the cost saving involved with that, we need to do the calculation. And if anyone would like more information, please email me. I'll gladly show you the calculations, what the cost saving would be over 5 years and over 10 years, changing from an existing power supply that you're using to a Pro 2 power supply series. Also, the top boost and power boost functionality on this device is really, really good. It covers for a lot of functions that we do. And then the last thing that I'd like to add is it's got a communication module. This enables us to then pull data from the device and actually directly into the PLC. In the past, most of the products out in the industry, even our previous products, only had a digital input connected to the device, and we could only get a state saying that the device is in an overload condition or the device is off. But you can see it's off, the PLC is also off. But with this, we can actually get diagnostics from it. We can see the actual current of that panel at that stage. And we can also monitor that and see if the current starts increasing over a period. It could be that we have instruments down the line that is busy giving problems or busy failing or losing efficiency. And this could all be monitored over time.
Great, thanks, Conrad. As Conrad mentioned, if you do have any further questions, please feel free to contact the support@shorrock.co.za email address, or for sales queries, sales@shorrock.co.za. Those email addresses have been put into the chat as well. So if there's anything further. I see there is one more question that has come through, Conrad, while we were just wrapping up there. Are you happy to still address it?
Well, what I would like to ask is I see the question, and please, if this person can make contact with me on my personal email address, I will then give you a call and we can discuss it.
Perfect. So we'll be in touch with you, Doc Paul, to connect you with Conrad, and then he'll be able to answer your question directly. Great. Well, that brings us to a close today for our Technology Thursday. Thank you very much, Conrad and the Shorrock team, for another informative and knowledgeable sharing session. As a reminder, please contact the Shorrock team directly. Alternatively, you can come through the AATF team as well. And just a reminder that our next AATF Technology Tuesday session is on the 29th of September and brought to you by Siemens. So ensure you get your pre-registration and watch our social media for any further updates. Have a wonderful day, keep safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chardonnay.